Welcome to another edition of Distributed Conversations. Today, we're talking about the future of CRM and relationship management. Is AI going to eliminate all this, or are we going to need people more or less, or what's going to happen? Today, I've got the expert on such things, a friend for many years, John Ferrara of Nimble. We are talking about the future and trends and how people interact with the technology and how that's going to change. But make no mistake, we're going to hear something about Nimble because John's just that good at weaving in his company into every answer he gives. Welcome to Distributed Conversations, John.
Warren, first off, thank you for your friendship all these years. I think you bring joy to people's lives because I think you just love relationships and people, and we share that in common. Second, I hope that in our conversation, this brief period of time, that we could leave people with something that blows a little wind in their sails, because I think that we all grow by helping other people grow. So thank you for inviting me.
Great. I know we were briefly talking about contact centers and how that's changing. I don't want to call and wait on hold and talk to somebody reading a script when I can go look up the information myself. Even more so now that I've got AI. If I use Perplexity currently, it's tied into a later version of Claude, and it searches the internet and then compiles an answer and gives it to me. And I just found a glitch where I actually have to make sure it doesn't give me the answer if I want to go directly to a website. But in 9 out of 10 cases, I don't want to go to a website. I want to find out something about the company. So even though I put in nimble.com, it's going to come and tell me something about Nimble rather than sending me right off to the website. And so using my Nimble app is one of those things that I know I need to skip the search. But most of the time, I find I want to know more about the world. I was reading a book yesterday and I turned on an audio chat GPT and I was asking questions. Every other paragraph, I'm asking a question. Something I remembered, I wasn't sure on the stat. I'm looking it up. Boy, I love generative AI, and I know that's just the surface of what it is. But if I can get along so well with the bots of today, knowing that they're only going to get better, what's in it for the future? Are we going to need people and relationships in business?
Well, as our good friend Brian Kramer often says, the more digital we get, the more human we need to be. And I do believe that there is a lot of value in computers because I chose this as a profession many decades ago, beyond what I'd even want to admit to you. But I don't think that computers will ever take away what you and I are doing right now. There is a energy flow and interaction that happens when two human beings connect and share commonalities. I call it the 5 F's of life: family, friend, food, fun, and fellowship. And in the old days, I taught people, when they go into somebody's office, look at the walls, look at the books they read, the degree of the school they went to, the knickknacks they collect. All these things are clues for you, if you're present enough, to learn enough about that person, to find the commonalities, to share the commonalities, to get that person to open up to you about their issues, so you could build the intimacy and trust to get them to really tell you about what's going on in their life, so you could find ways to help accelerate them achieving their dreams. That's really what relationships are all about, is building a common connection and finding ways to blow wind in another human being's sails. And I don't think that AI really does that for you as much as a human being does, even when you do it digitally. And so I do believe that AI does that much better. And I'm happy to demonstrate to you. If you actually open up ChatGPT and say, tell me about John Ferrara, it will tell you more than I want you to know. So I'm gonna put on the voice thing. Hey, ChatGPT, tell me about John Ferrara.
Could you clarify who John Ferrara is? I can look up current information or provide context if you have something specific in mind.
Tell me about John Ferrara, Ferrara, from Santa Monica.
John Ferrara, based in Santa Monica, is a well-known tech entrepreneur and the founder of Goldmine, one of the first successful contact management and CRM platforms.
Tell me some of the common phrases and stories that John Ferrara from Santa Monica loves to share.
John Ferrara loves to share stories and phrases that reflect his passion for relationships, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Here are some of his favorites. 1. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. John frequently emphasizes that relationships are the heart of business. He often shares how Goldmine success.
Okay, so you get the idea, right? So if you're going to go into another call or a room with another human being, it's your job to get prepared. You need to know who that person is, what their business is about, where they are in a particular stage in life. And that's going to give you the clues that you could find ways to help them grow, help solve some of their problems. So that's what sales is. It's a service. And most people don't take the time to prepare, let alone look up what has happened before with that person and follow up after. And so this is what a CRM should do for you, with you, is to help you to understand the past, engage in the present, and follow up in the future. It's the basics, but most people don't do it. CRM stands for customer relationship management. It should stand for customer reporting management. There's 225 million people in the businesses in the world. Most people's CRM are spreadsheets and Google contacts, Google email. And so why? Because I don't think they're really designed for the purpose they are, which is engaging at scale to help you achieve your dreams by helping other people achieve theirs.
I see. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You know, we complained about how bad a lot of the salespeople were we had to deal with back in the 70s and 80s when I was learning this stuff. And then in the 90s, I thought I got pretty good at it. I had a crew of people. We were doing things and by the sales staff before, but I got to where I could take somebody off the street, give them the access to a CRM, and they would know stuff. They could remember. Hey, you brought this laser printer into the shop to have it fixed. Here's the notes on what happened. And we required everybody to record it. I had drills, I had checks, I had audits to make sure people would record stuff. And it was pretty simple. That one was good that it was indexed on phone numbers. And we were doing this all by telephone back then. But yeah, if somebody walked into the shop or we went out on site, getting those notes into the system was the toughest thing to do. AI now makes all that very instant. But what about the agents? Because right now, and I can talk to an agent and maybe get a better experience than a lot of the people I talk to because they're not taking the time to be prepared. Is it just going to become more and more distinct for those of us who do bother to prepare for a sales call?
Well, I think that there's certain things that a human being still can do that AI can't. And so, yes, I have engaged with AI bots, voice bots, and text bots that have done a decent job of listening to me and providing me the answers that I want. In fact, my little brother Danny runs this hard money shop where he has all these dialers that dial and send texts out. And he used to have a call center full of people. Now he's just got AI bots that engage with the people that reply, and they're smart enough. He's taught them to keep them on track. Warren, have you ever talked to somebody and they basically go off on a tangent?
Yes, every conversation I've ever had.
Okay. So the bot's smart enough to bring them back on track and guide them through the steps necessary to qualify them to do what they need to do so it's possible for bots to emulate human processes, but I still feel that for now, computers and accelerated with AI are going to be there for facilitating high-end engagement as opposed to taking it over. Now, that doesn't mean that software can't do the basics, because I think that that's where we all fail. We fail in the basics because we're human, but I think we accelerate with the best because we are human. And the best is what keeps us bonded, Warren. There's a friendship that has been created over decades. A rocket ship takes 60% of the fuel to get into orbit, 60% of the energy of a car to get up to speed. 60% of the energy to establish a relationship, but it takes very little to keep it going, like a plate on a pencil. The guy that basically does a pencil and just keeps nudging it so it keeps going. And so I think that today you can rely on certain industries and trades to not be taken over by AI. A plumber, AI ain't going to do that, baby. Right? If they could get in the little spots where the pipes are.
Yeah. One of the basic things I say, first of all, you shouldn't be worried about whether or not AI is going to take your job. You should be worried about whether or not somebody who understands AI taking your job, because they're going to
Yes,
use AI and they're going to be a lot more productive.
Yes.
And I did that with CRMs myself. I learned early on that, the database was what we used to call, in college, they were telling me it was goodwill. Valuing a business, there was the people, the product, the inventory, the building, and then there was machinery. And then there was this thing called goodwill. And I remember asking the professor, what the heck is goodwill? And I said, well, that's just, a number that helps us balance the accounting. So if you pay, if all that stuff adds up to $2 million and you're selling it for $3 million, you have $1 million worth of goodwill. And when I read Database Marketing, a book from 1987, I got the idea that the database was that value. And sure enough, all the direct marketing companies were keeping track of the mail order companies. They were keeping track of the list, they called it, but it really was the relationship. Because back then, if you had somebody's name and mailing address, you had more than most of your competitors.
Yeah.
So we just build on that over time. So I can think of the times I could get ahead by tracking that, by sending out a newsletter, by just doing a little bit of what we would consider normal, I think, and just run circles around my competition. And so today, I found the same thing when I started using social media. And now I'm seeing the same thing with the AI. A lot of times I'll feel like I'm, 3 or 4 years ahead of some of the people I consult with. And also I feel like I'm hardly keeping up with AI most of the time.
On the future of CRM, Warren, I think that CRM started out as contact management with things like Goldmine and Maximizer, nod to the Canadians. Contact management is the heart of CRM. It's customer relationship management, contact management.
Right.
And I think CRM got lost with contact management because Outlook came out and it became the contact management program of business. And CRMs weren't about contact management anymore, weren't about relationships anymore. They're about command and control. And it's mainly for sales, if not sales and marketing. And so I think what's going to happen is CRM is going to find its way back into business through the means of not just being for salespeople. It'll be for the whole company. And that's where really Goldmine started. And that's where Nimble's been, is it's not just about salespeople. It's about everybody in the company, because everybody in the company touches the constituency around your business, and they need a common contact record to do that. Today, salespeople use CRMs, marketing people use the email marketing system, and biz dev and PR people use spreadsheets. And it's got to change.
It's been some of the problem I've witnessed before, that if I call up a company and they can't find record of, I think this happened to me last week. I called somebody and I got a hold of customer service, and they decided it had to do with tech support. And so I finally got that person. Oh, I've been on chat. And I've given all my information several times.
And the person doesn't have it. You gave it all to the person right before them, right?
Right.
And so that is, when you call American Express, they don't forget who you are. They know who spoke the last time. And that's an engagement system. That's a contact management system. That's a contact center software. And so the problem is there's too many systems in the typical sales and marketing stack, and it's got to simplify, and it's too expensive. I think the future of CRM is engagement capabilities on whatever channel is most effective for the constituency you're engaging with. And those conversations might start on a website, to a form, to a chat box, to text, to phone, to email, and back and forth. And if somebody picks up the phone or whatever, and they're speaking to somebody, they should have access to all those.
Send them an email and they click on a link and go back to your website and look up product information. And
Yes.
then maybe open a chat there. And then 3 weeks later, you got a chance to talk to them on the phone again to be able to remember that. Programmatic advertising is getting a lot of the pieces of this,
Yes.
but it's so annoying that I go and look at something and then I buy someplace else. And then for weeks later, I'm being offered.
Yes.
I bought a step stool once, Rubbermaid step stool. I knew what I wanted. We hadn't bought one in many, many years, but I knew how to get it. I ended up at an industrial supply place thinking that whatever was being on Amazon was too costly. Well, inflation happened. The one on Amazon was the best deal by far. But I would get pages on my browser where I would see 3 and 4 step stool ads. And so they're working at this information, but it doesn't seem to be people centric.
But I do think that
Yeah, go ahead.
I think AI can synthesize information in a database and present it in a more human way wherever you're engaging with the person, almost like the little cloud above their head where it
Right.
says, hey, the team spoke to Warren last month and they did this and he was looking at that. And also, by the way, this is going on in Warren's life. And all that could bring you, the human could bring it together in order to better
Right.
support in that moment.
So you might send me a message saying, are you still looking for a step stool? You know,
Well,
I bought one step stool. I'm good.
yeah.
So, you know, you see me in another 20 years, these things are well made, and I don't
Right.
use a step stool very often. And
Right.
I'm saving the company buying the ads a fortune.
Yep.
Because every once in a while I'll click one on those ads, say, what's this? What's new about step stools? And it's just out of curiosity. And that refreshes it and I'm back in again. And instead of doing that and using a cookie, I want to turn around. That's what I wanted to get to. I spoke with Doc Searles about this one time, the Clutarian Manifesto guy who spoke about VRMs, so that companies, and he was talking about enterprise level, but companies would want to keep track of their vendors, and it wouldn't be on the vendor to keep track of the customer. The company would want to keep track of the vendor. To me, that's just another relationship.
Yeah.
We should be keeping track of everybody. To set up, my accounting system doesn't want to. It has vendors, it has customers. Well, sometimes I do business both ways with people.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
So
when we,
fine, have somebody who's a vendor and a customer and an influencer and a press contact.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly.
So that's why you need a relationship manager for the whole company, not just salespeople, that everybody has access to it. But you also want it to have the basic things so you don't have to go buy ConvertKit or MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or HubSpot to add on the email, the chat, the text, the phone, the browser plugin that works in LinkedIn, and all the different things that you need so that you don't have to have disparate systems for different departments to manage contacts in your company.
So yeah, I'm looking out to the future here. It's going to be AI. There's going to be agents. One of the things I'd love to be able to get an agent to do is to enrich the data that I have, define it in the disparate systems and bring it together. Is that asking for too much? Does that have to be a company by company thing? Or are we now building systems like Nimble? Will we be able to plug in an AI and have it go find us that extra information?
I just showed you what AI can do. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't even want to ask AI about my family, but it would tell you more than I want you to know.
Can I get it to access my Nimble records?
So Nimble will have a ChatGPT plugin that you could log into your ChatGPT account, and essentially it'll do whatever you want it to do, including summarizing records, enriching records, etc. But Nimble's the only company that ever had full access to LinkedIn public and private APIs. And we mapped into Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Foursquare, Google+, Crunchbase, AngelList, and tied all that together and enriched the contacts. Now the API wars make it so that you can't get access to a lot of that stuff, but the data is getting scraped by all these bots. So the data is out there. And so when you put your contacts in a Nimble, Nimble automatically enrich the records. But you can also use our plugin in LinkedIn, where if you have the Nimble prospector and you're looking at a LinkedIn record and you want to add them to Nimble, it'll grab the whole record, parse it all out, avatar, title, history of employment, schools, put it in the record, and you basically automatically have an enriched record in your Nimble system.
Yeah, it does everything except for the communications, which I know I've done a lot of shopping with this. It's very difficult to get into the API and take care of the messages.
Well,
But,
now we do. So we're in the
You do.
process of launching email marketing, which allows you to send emails at scale and have them bidirectionally communicate with your audience. We used to do that with your email service provider, but it was limited to hundreds because that's what email service providers do. But for people that have tens of thousands or millions of records, you will now have an engagement engine that starts with email. And then soon in 2025, we'll release bidirectional text, bidirectional chat bots, plugins, and bidirectional phones. So you can basically pull up a list of 50 people, power dial them, automatically leave messages for people that don't pick up, and have a phone system that's all integrated. So if people call you, it'll pop the record.
yeah, and the algorithms for this have caused problems because people use it different. I've just talked to somebody who is a CPA, and
Yeah.
we're having him on a program as a CPA because what he knows about taxes. And I asked for his Twitter handle, and I put that in, and he came back with, no, not that one. I've got another one. He's eliminated his name from his Twitter handle because it's in the crypto business and everybody uses these silly handles instead of their name. I'm on Twitter at Warren Whitlock. Why would I be anything else? I want people to know me and have a personal relationship. And there's so many of these people that are trying to trade meme coins or whatever. They think that somehow somebody's going to figure out who they are. I can't develop a relationship with you if I don't know your name. And so we find these, and there'll always be some problem with that kind of thing. But then we also have interfaces like WhatsApp. WhatsApp's so incredibly hard to get into the API. Are you able to do anything with WhatsApp?
So, the rest of the world is totally up on WhatsApp, and America's still a little step behind on that. But there are APIs that allow you to do communications on that. In fact, the iPhone now allows you to swap out the phone for WhatsApp as a device. So we're going to use the same method. So as we evolve our engagement engine, you will be able to have the ability to send emails at scale, send texts at scale, open up put chat boxes on your websites or connected to your emails or other messages. So you can send somebody a text and they can come back to you in a chat bot, and also the phone. And when I say the phone could be the traditional phone, like your cell phone number, which we'll be able to map into, or the channel of your choice, like WhatsApp.
One more on my wish list, browser history. If I'm out surfing the web and trying to find out something, it tends to be vendors more than customers. But even if it's a customer, I'm going to talk to John. I want to go see what Nimble's up to. Is that information going to be scraped and put into Nimble at some point?
So you're saying the information from the website?
The website. Is that possible?
So if you put a URL in a contact record in Nimble, it will pull the company pertinence down, including their SIC, employees, CEO name, address, phone number, emails, things like that.
Right.
As far as navigating a website and scraping all that information, Nimble doesn't do that, but we have access to databases that do that. And then we can just automatically enrich the contacts and the companies with that data that's just available on the web.
So the technology is allowing me to do rewind and other keeping track of every place I go, be able to feed that kind of thing in. It's just like what Robert Scoble's talking about all the time, his hollow deck, which is the idea of tying things together and having it all available in your goggles or your glasses or whatever like that. you want to be able to do that. You want to be able to talk to it through an audio interface. And I'd love to have ChatGPT so that when I talk to it, I can say, look at my Nimble database. I don't want it to look at your Nimble database. I just need it to look at mine.
ChatGPT, you can't tell it to go look at a page and analyze it and derive things from it. Now.
Right. Yeah. So I think this is what the future is. It's the whole concept of I can walk around with, they talk a lot about the apps and the things they can do. I came up with the idea at CES a year ago. I said, why not put that in a hat? Your Neuralink can be connected in the headband. You can put cameras and microphones around the brim, some sort of projector, so you don't need to be wearing goggles to make this work. And of course, the sound should be easy enough to get to that. And the beautiful thing about this Neuralink interface is when you get done, you can just take the hat off. It would use the batteries out of a phone, but not the glass and metal. So obviously it would all fit in a hat. You wouldn't even know it wouldn't feel any different than just wearing a hat. I'm not developing that one. If you want to work on that, let me know and we'll form something and get a founder to do it.
New world.
Yeah. I think we want it to all be available. Another thing I got from working with Robert Scoble is that my privacy is gone enough that if you live a public life, you don't need to worry about whether or not it's going to find you. We haven't talked about our children in this interview, and we haven't talked about home addresses, but we have to assume everything we've said is kept someplace, and probably the rest is knowable. But I'm not going to give out my social security number over the air. Just not practical. I give you everything else I can, and what I'm experiencing, who I am, I'd rather share. And I think we all ought to get used to that and knowing how to deal with the people that are afraid of that. And so I'm not afraid of the future at all. I know you aren't. And I'm looking forward to more. We could talk for hours, and perhaps we will again soon. But for now, that's it. You can find John at Nimble, and you can get to his company site, nimble.com. And that's it for today. Anything more you want to plug?
Well, I just want to say for all the people listening to this today, if you don't have your own personal Rolodex, your own personal CRM, you should go get one. Because if you're not managing your contacts, somebody else is. And Mae West said, out of sight is out of mind, out of mind is out of money, honey. And so you should have a database of all the key contacts that you've had through your life that's segmentatable, so that if you need to outreach to people for a particular purpose, it's super easy. And when you send the messages, they are relevant and authentic, and they drive your purpose in life. And I hope your purpose in life is to give more than you get, because life isn't about making money. It's about making memories out of moments with people you love, like you, Warren.
Well, yes, I think about it. Had I met you back in the days I was selling radio advertising or in college or something we might not be friends now. I mean, I still like all those people, but I've now reached a point that if I go find somebody I knew in my early 20s and they're in their late 60s, they might be retired. Oh, what a nasty thought. But yes, some of them are. And I see that, I'm going it's never going to happen. I'm not going to hang out with these people anymore. I maybe see them on Facebook or something. And I always accept those requests. I'm not shutting them out or anything, but I just can't. It's when it comes time to, I should make an effort to reach out to a friend from college, once a day or once a week. And I just look at it and I go I got about 400 better things to be doing with people that, that I love today. And I reached this point in my life. And to think that 40, 50 years from now, kids will do not need to be that way, because they will have followed somebody their whole life. Because we didn't have Facebook until my friends were 50.
Yeah, but even if you're following someone on Facebook, that doesn't mean that you're truly connected with them.
Well, thanks a lot. I know you got to go. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you, Warren.